Hello, everybody. Hi. Can everyone see and hear me okay? Please just type in the chat if you can see and hear me. Hi, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thank you, Luan. Okay, awesome. Thank you. How is everyone today? How are we doing? Good afternoon, good evening, good morning. My name is Tutor Nicole. Welcome to our live session this Saturday. Please type in the chat, how are you and where are you from? My name is Tutor Nicole. I'm from the United States, and I feel good and tired today. So how are you? Where are you from? Hello from Brazil, Turkey, Vietnam, Tokyo, Egypt, Pakistan. Hello from Bangladesh. Hi from Jordan. Hi from Egypt. Hi from China. Hi from Kosovo, South Korea. Hi from Turkey. I'm so sorry that you feel sick. Hello from Brazil, Romaine. Hi from Greece, the UK. Hi from Italy and India. I hope everyone is having a great weekend. Thank you so much for joining me today. It seems like we have a lot of people from all over the world. I love to see that. So thank you for joining me. Again, my name is Tutor Nicole, a tutor on Cambly. And today, you guys, we're going to be discussing career vocabulary. Okay, when you join today, if you join late, that's okay. Just go ahead when we're finished. You can watch the video from the very beginning. Okay. There we go. All right, let's get started. So again, you guys, today we're talking about careers. So today we're talking about jobs, careers. My last 2 live sessions were about university vocabulary. Who was here for university vocabulary? Because that ties in with career. So when you study university, then we will be learning about career. Yes, we're almost at 200,000. It's exciting. So again, you guys, today we're talking about career vocabulary. Another word for career would be job. However, a career is a profession for which one trains, a job that you do your whole lifetime. So typically, people go to university to study for a career. Typically, when you hear job, it could mean career, but career is like something you envision for your whole lifetime and that you work really, really hard for. A job may be temporary. A job may be part-time. Does that make sense? So that's what that is. Okay? So what are some careers that you know? Go ahead and type in the chat. Tell me some careers that you know. Maybe it's engineer, teacher, nurse, psychologist, dentist, lawyer. So what career do you know, or what career do you do? Mamoste, I am a teacher too. Yes. I am an electrician. Okay, engineer, realtor, doctor, soldier. Okay, a nurse, dentist, dermatologist, accountant, shop assistant, executive, event engineer. You work on air conditioning. These are all really great careers. So I'm assuming what you did before you started your career is you studied for a long time or you did an internship to prepare for your career, right? Let's explore some different careers, but before we get started, I want to talk about some vocab up here. So we have part-time versus full-time. Full-time is where you work 40 hours or more in a week. Part-time is when you work less than like 30 hours. So a lot of part-time jobs might be a waitress, bartender, preschool teacher. That's part-time. Full-time would be nurse, teacher, engineer, pilot. That also goes with hourly. Your pay, the money you receive. If you're part-time, you get hourly pay, paid by the hour. If you're full-time, you get a salary. So your salary is the whole year, okay? And then some ways on how to get a job. You would find a job that you like, submit an application and a resume, and then you would interview. Okay? Also, when we were talking last week about university vocabulary, this is the thing you would study. So maybe you study engineering, you study education, you study nursing, but your job or career would be called engineer, teacher, nurse, psychologist, dentist, or lawyer. So that's the difference between your study and your job or your career. Okay, let's learn a few. First, we have a baker. This is a person who makes bread, cakes, in an oven using heat. Another word here is apply. Apply is when you ask formally for a job in writing. So I might apply to be a teacher because you want that job. Apply. A barber, this is someone who shaves men's beards and cuts men's hair. We have a butcher. This is someone who cuts meat. It's a butcher. A coach is someone who trains athletes. You could be a soccer coach. You could be a football coach. Pharmacist is the person who prepares drugs and medicines that a doctor prescribes to give to patients. So pharmacists need to go to school typically for 8 years. A janitor is someone who cleans the building and makes repairs. That's a janitor. We have fishermen. A fisherman is someone who catches fish. Hire. If you submit an application, if you get the job, you are hired. That means you give work to someone in exchange for money. Flight attendant. This is a person who serves food and takes care of passengers on the plane. The flight attendant. A garbage man is someone who collects garbage. The garbage man. Tailor. A tailor is someone who designs and makes alters to garments. For example, my wedding dress didn't fit exactly, so I had to take my dress to the tailor, and they fixed my dress. Shift. If you work part-time, your work would be called your shift. It's the time period where you're at work. It's your shift. So my shift is from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. When is your shift for your job? Go ahead and type in the chat. When is your shift? Again, my shift is from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. When is your shift? Okay, awesome. So your shift, wow, from 8:30 a.m. to 9 p.m. That's a long shift. Wow, okay. Thank you for sharing. You guys have long shifts, 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. Wow. 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. That's a good shift. Okay. Wow. All right. Another job or career is called a receptionist. This is someone who sits at the desk and they greet visitors at an office, they make phone calls, they check people in. Technician. A technician is someone who organizes and repairs technical equipment. Plumber. A plumber is someone who supplies and connects, repairs water pipes. This is typically like with toilets and showers. Your resume. If you want to get a job, you submit a resume. So your resume is a short written description of your education, qualifications, and previous employment that you send to an employer when you're trying to get a job. So a resume is this piece of paper, who you are, where you studied, your previous jobs. That is a resume. A surgeon is a person who operates on people that are sick. You could have a brain surgeon or a heart surgeon. A teacher is someone who educates young people. A vet or a veterinarian for long is someone who's trained to give medical care to animals. Animals. Who wanted to be a vet when they grew up? I feel like a lot of children used to want to be veterinarians. I used to want to be a veterinarian. We did secretary. Labor. Labor is practical work. This is typically something that has physical work. So labor, maybe you work in a factory and you're physically moving boxes, physical labor. So that's labor. It's more physical than mental. Jobless. Jobless is when you have no job. No job. Next, we have hairdresser. This is a person who cuts and styles hair. So they cut, style hair. And then we learned full-time job over here. This is someone who works at least 35 hours a week, 5 days a week. If pronunciation is a problem for you, maybe something that could help is if you copy what I say. So if I say full-time job, at your computer, you can repeat what I say. Maybe that will help. I know it's difficult. It's difficult. Jeweler. This is someone who makes jewelry. Maybe they sell diamonds, silver, gold. A lawyer is someone whose job it is to assist people according to law. A lawyer would work in court. A lawyer would work in court. Maybe jeweler. Jeweler. That's a hard one. Jeweler. Okay. Here are some common questions you can ask about careers. If you have a full-time job, your career takes up most of your day, right? So it's common for people to talk about their careers and talk about jobs. right? So, a question I'm going to ask you, and you can type in the chat, what's your dream job? What's your dream job? My dream job is to be a pilot. So, my dream job is to be a pilot. What's your dream job? Okay, maybe being a robotic scientist in the United States, to be a doctor, to be a teacher, okay, to be a manager in healthcare. Oh, wow, to be a CEO or to be a company owner. Thank you. Yeah, to be a soldier. I like your dream job. Typically, when we're younger, we ask, what do you want to be when you grow up? And so I would say, I want to be a pilot. Or my dream job is to be a pilot. Okay, this is a hard question. If you currently have a job, whether it's part-time or full-time, what do you like and not like about your job? So I like helping students because I'm a teacher. I don't like how tired I am at the end of the day. I don't like how tired I get from teaching. So what do you like and not like? Yeah, maybe you don't like how stressful and crazy your job is. Some customers, if you work with people, maybe some customers aren't polite. Okay, so what do you like and not like? Yeah, that's a good one. I like to cure patients, but I don't like being tired after a long shift. I like my team, but I don't like to wake up early. I feel that. Okay, good. My next question for you, how long have you worked at your job? I have had my job for 3 years as a teacher. How long have you worked at your job? 5 years as a network engineer. Awesome. So you could say, I have worked as a teacher for 5 years. I have been a pilot for 2 years. Good. Wow, 20 years. That's a long time. Okay. I have worked for 34 years in banking. That's awesome. Good job, you guys. We have some good jobs and good workers. Awesome. So imagine when you were a kid, I bet you got this question asked a lot. What do you want to be when you grow up? And so when I was a kid, I wanted to be a veterinarian. When you were a kid, what did you want to be? A lot of kids wanted to be firefighters, policemen, teachers, a kind human. That's nice. So what did you want to be when you grow up? What did you want to be when you grew up? Also a vet, an engineer, brain surgery. Wow. That's awesome. Very cool. Thank you. All right, let's continue learning some new words. Apply. Apply is when you ask for a job. Application is a paper that indicates interest in a job. So here, you would submit an application. So that's an application. You fill out an application saying, I want this job. Employ, this is the use of services of someone to get a job done. So if I am the owner of a business, I would employ you to do a certain job. Employ. Now, employee versus employer. Employee is someone who works for someone. Employer is someone that hires someone to work for them. So if I'm the boss, I'm the employer. If I am the worker for the boss, I'm the employee. Right? We remember this. A full-time job is working 35 or more hours a week. A part-time job is working only a few hours or days of the week. So not 35 hours, less than 35 hours. A lot of students have part-time jobs, so they can also study. An intern, the word intern is a student or a recent graduate who works for a short amount of time for experience. They might get pay, they also might not get pay. If they do get paid, it's typically less money. But students work at an internship, they be an intern just for that experience. Okay, jobless or unemployed is when you have no job. Guihang, the difference between employ and hire, it's actually the same thing. It's the same thing. Employ and hire are the same. Okay, jobless or unemployed, again, is having no job. An occupation is the work of someone, of a person that does, or someone's profession. So occupation is the same word as career. They're the same words. A reference, this is a person who knows you and gives you recommendation to help you get a job. So typically, if you want a job and they want to hire you, they might ask you for a reference. And so a reference, let's say I'm the employer, you would give me a reference and I would call your reference to say, you know, is this person good at their job? Were they bad at their job? So a reference is someone that you know that you used to work with to help you get that job. Occupation is not the same thing as major. Occupation is the same thing as career. So if you're a teacher, your career would be teacher, or your occupation would be your teacher. Occupation is the same thing as career. Employer, this is someone who employs you. So an employer is a boss. It's your boss is your employer. Okay. A resume. This is a short written description of your education, qualifications, and previous employment. Again, that resume is that piece of paper that explains, you know, where you went to school, what you can do, and where you used to work. Yes, Hamza, resume is the same thing as CV. Okay. A salary, that is money of a full-time employee that's paid each year. So salary, remember, that is each year for full-time employees, but a wage is the hourly pay of a part-time employee. Okay, that's part-time. Yes, we use resume in the USA. Yes. Vacancy. A vacancy is when a job or position is open. So if an employer has a job that is available, that's called a job vacancy, and you can apply for that job to get that job. Let's talk about some steps of getting a job. Okay, some steps of getting a job. Number one, you would search for a job. Here in the United States, we can search online. So maybe like LinkedIn, or another one that I use is Indeed, so I can find a job online. And then number two, you would apply for that job. After you apply, you submit your resume or your CV. And then last but not least, you would interview for that job. Okay, let's see. Let's learn a few more. I'm gonna just show you a few more jobs. We have waiter. We have an artist, someone that makes art. This is called a mail carrier. This is an astronaut. This is a musician. Bus driver. This is a nurse. This is a farmer. We have a taxi driver. This is called a firefighter. We know this one. This is a teacher. Sorry. This is called a fisherman. Let me see here. This is a chef. Painter. A lot of people paint walls or houses. This is a painter. Dentist, someone that cleans your teeth. Dentist. Pilot. That's a pilot. Doctor. And last but not least, we have a police officer. So those are just some different jobs or careers. The next thing we're going to do is a game. Okay, so I need you to try and guess, what job is it? So you're going to just type in the chat your answer, okay? All right, what job is it? This is someone that paints or creates art. This person can paint, they create art for money. This could be a painter, it could also be an artist. Painter or artist, good. This person performs and learns songs. They play songs, they perform songs. What is this person? Yes, this is a musician. Who is this person? This is someone that works in a hospital. They meet with patients and they help doctors. Very good. This is a nurse. Okay. This is someone who can pick up and drop off passengers in their car, not bus, in their car. So you could say driver, taxi driver. Now that we have technology, Grab driver, Lyft driver, Uber driver. Yes. So you order your taxi on your phone and then they come pick you up. Yes. Technology. This is someone who helps students and they teach classes. Who would this be? This is a teacher. Good. Teacher. This person cooks food in a restaurant. So what's the name of someone who cooks food in a restaurant? This is called a chef. Chef. Chef, yes. What is the name of someone who fixes teeth? They fix teeth. This is called a dentist. Good, dentist. What is the name of someone who can fly planes? This person can fly planes. They are a pilot. Pilot. Hamza, it's called chef. C-H-E-F, chef. Okay. Type in the chat, who was here with me when we did university part 1 and 2? If not, just try your best here. But what career is the following study? So over here I have study and then career. So I'm going to give you the study. You have to guess the career, okay? Education. If you study education, what is your career? Yes, your career would be a teacher. Very good. If you study accounting, what would be your job or career? Yes. Your job or career would be an accountant. Accountant. Good. If you study engineering, what would be your career? You would be an engineer. 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 Good. If you studied history, what would be your job? If you studied history, what would be your job? Yes, this is called a historian. 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 Yes, good. You could also be a history teacher, right? An architect, maybe. Okay, if you studied marketing, what would be your job? If you studied marketing, you would be a marketer. You would be a marketer. I guess you could also work in sales or in a corporate job, a business job. I said marketer though. Okay, if you studied music, if you studied music, what would be your career? If you studied music, you would be a musician. Musician. Good. Beethoven. Yes. Okay. If you studied art, what would be your career? If you studied art, what would be your job? Your job would be an artist. Artist. Good. This is a really hard one, but let's see if we can get it. If you studied nutrition and diet, what would be your job title? Your job. This is hard. Your job would be, nice, Desi. You would be a nutritionist. Good job, Nick and Barbara. Yes, this is called a nutritionist. It's a hard word. Nutritionist. This is someone that helps with nutrition, helps with diet and food and health. Nutritionist. What you eat. Yes. Okay. Question for you guys. What would you do if you want a job? What are the 4 steps? What would you do if you want to get a job? Go ahead and type in the chat. What would you do if you want a job? Yeah, you would apply for a job. You would make a CV or a resume. You would search for a job. You would apply for a job. You would submit your resume or your CV. And you would interview for a job. Good. Last question. What do many employers require when applying for a job? There's a word that I'm looking for. So if you're an employer and you want to hire somebody, what would you require when applying for a job? Yeah, experience, a reference, or a recommendation. So a recommendation, remember, that is a recommendation from somebody else that you used to work for or know or work with. A recommendation of, yes, this person is good, they're a good worker. That's what they require, is a recommendation, a resume, qualifications, a reference, and experience. Very good, you guys. Awesome. Okay, any questions for me before we go? That is all I have for today. So just type in the chat if you have any questions. Other than that, guys, if you joined late, you can watch this video from the beginning on our YouTube channel. Thank you guys for learning career vocabulary with me today. I had a lot of fun. I hope you have a great rest of your morning, afternoon, or evening. Another session, I believe we have them. Maybe one is tomorrow. I'll have to look that up and let you know. But it's always at the same time here at the same time that we have this class. So yes, I will see you next time. Have a great day, everybody. Bye.